Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. As many of you will know, my name's Christiana Davidson and I'm a psychotherapist and a hypnotherapist, and I create these videos just to help inform people about the impacts of a childhood which was either had narcissistic abuse in it from either parents, or there was great family dysfunction, a lot of chaos, a lot of trauma, and in these videos we try to unpack sort of the many areas that this sort of family dysfunction creates in the lives of adults. And today we're talking all about money. Because the relationship with money is another of our relationships, and of course the impact first and foremost of coming from a narcissistic family system is that it absolutely impacts your relationships in all areas. So today we're going to look at how, having grown up in that sort of family system, your relationship with money is affected, and we can look at it through the eyes of attachment. What attachment style are you? And if you don't know your attachment style, that's fine. I'm going to go through some of them in this video now, and you might sort of hear yourself in one style more than another. So first of all, what is an attachment style? Well, an attachment style basically mirrors to us, it shows us the relationship we had with our mother or our primary caregiver. So whatever attachment style you are is a window for you into what your relationship was like with your mother or your primary caregiver. And even if you can't remember the attachment style that you demonstrate today is evidence of what it was like for you as an infant. So in other words, our attachment styles show us how much we're able to receive, how much we believe we are worthy of receiving. Let me explain that a bit more. So if we have a secure attachment to our primary caregiver, we completely believe that we're lovable and worthy just by being. That we deserve to get love and affection, and we deserve to receive just by being. We don't have to sort of earn it or try to put on a show to get it. No, just by being, we're valued, and we feel valued, and we value ourselves as a result. So that's a secure attachment. So these early styles are an experience of our lovability. Now, if we didn't have that secure attachment style, we didn't have that secure experience rather, then we're going to take on the belief that somehow just by being ourselves we're not worthy of receiving love, that we have to adapt, that we have to become something, or we have to perform, or we have to earn our right to receive blessings, to receive abundance, that just by being us is not enough. And that we would have learned in those early years, because it would have been an inconsistency or an absence sometimes, and so that is then reflected in some of the other attachment styles, like the anxiously attached, the fearful avoidant, and the avoidant, and we're going to talk about those in a bit more depth in a minute. Of course, if you come from a narcissistic family system, you won't be securely attached. You just won't be. And of course that then means that you're going to have a similar insecure relationship with money. So let's have a look at each of the attachment styles and just have a listen and see if any of these resonates with you, or if you already know your style, then have a listen out and see if any of these sort of traits are relevant to you. So, let's start with secure attachment so we all get an idea of the sort of ideal. So that securely attached infant who really is aware of just being able to receive without doing, without earning. They generally feel extremely comfortable with being intimate with people, with trusting others, and with seeking support when they need it. They have a healthy relationship with money, and that means that they're quite willing and able to take responsibility for it, and to exhibit responsible financial behaviours, things like budgeting and saving and investing. They believe in getting paid really well, for their gifts. They value themselves. They believe that the work that I do, or just being me in the company, is a blessing. And so they tend to almost go for jobs sometimes that would pay them more than just what the role would generally perhaps pay. So they're quite happy to do that, in other words. So they feel financially secure. Now, the anxious attachment, which many people do relate to, they generally have a negative view of themselves, but a positive view of everyone else. So you can hear already that if you have a negative view of yourself, what are you going to believe about, receiving money and receiving abundance for your gifts, for what you do at work, for all the effort you put in? Well, you're not going to have a very high expectation. In fact, you'll probably feel quite uncomfortable with receiving over and above the normal. And your comfort zone then is going to be to hold yourself back in roles that don't bless you grandly, because that's an uncomfortable place to be. Now, there's another element to this attachment style, is that the anxiously attached is constantly seeking reassurance and fears rejection. So the likelihood of an anxiously attached person sort of standing up for themselves and asking for more money that's a big challenge, and many will back away from that if they're anxiously attached. They often are, in the back of their minds, the anxiously attached, they're always worried about money. There's a constant sort of stream of financial worry, even when it's there, even when they have more than enough. There's the underlying fear that it's going to go. So there's never a sort of sense of security and safety. And they often don't believe in themselves either, that they're capable of managing money. They can never get enough to feel secure. And lastly, on the anxiously attached, they can often accept less money for their efforts, and give of their energies and work hard, because they're trying to prove that they are lovable, or they are deserving, and they can end up in burnout quite often, and then resenting the job and feeling even less worthy of receiving. Okay, so now the third attachment style is the avoidant. The avoidant, if this is you generally have a positive view of yourself, but a negative view of others. So this style is a bit sort of like, everyone's out to get me, and I'm gonna put barricades up and store it up for myself. they tend to sort of prioritize being self-sufficient, financially independent, which can be hard in, if there's a marriage or that sort of thing, because the avoidant is sometimes going to be, saving up some money on the side for themselves without anybody knowing, or won't let the spouse know about what the finances are in the situation, and will feel defensive if anybody wants to talk about it. They just don't want to talk about finances. That's something that makes them feel extremely vulnerable, not because they're anxious about it. They're more anxious about others stepping in and taking over or taking it from them. So their way of maintaining independence, which is so key for the avoidant, is to not let anybody know about the finances, and not to rely on anybody else either. However, sometimes the avoidant types can do the opposite. They can actually avoid the finances so much that they get somebody else, like a partner or spouse, to take full responsibility, and then just avoid talking about the finances and don't want to share about how they've been spending their partner's money. So it can sort of present in different ways. Finally, the fearful avoidant attachment style. Now, this is not the most common. It's usually the attachment style that comes from a lot of trauma in the background. I often find it's trauma with both parents. It's both the mother and the father, perhaps, that have narcissistic tendencies that tend to lead to the fearful avoidant style. Now, their view of themselves is negative, and their view of others is also negative. So we've got a double whammy here when it comes to money. If you've got a negative view of yourself and you have a negative view of others, you're always going to be expecting that you're going to be paid less, that you're not going to be getting what you're worth, that people are going to be out to swindle you or rob you of your worth. They're always out for their own interests, in other words. So you will approach the relationship with money sometimes as a sort of, I've got to snatch it, but then when I snatch it, it comes in, but then it's going to go away. I can't seem to make it stay. Fearful avoidants often struggle with trust and fear of rejection or abandonment. That can certainly play out with money. The fear of rejection can sometimes be that, if I do get a lot of money, then there might be feelings of guilt. That I need to make up for having lots of money by passing it on, by taking responsibility for other people's lives. There may be a tendency to be very cautious sometimes with money, but then at other times be, real spenders, without boundary sort of thing. And that's because in childhood there were no boundaries. So it's the same with money a bit with a fearful avoidant. It's kind of like it just comes in when it wants to and then leaves when it wants to. And the fearful avoidant can feel very powerless over it. It's like, that they can't predict when they're going to have enough and when they're going to have not enough, because that mirrors those early childhood experiences, where that secure base of the parent and the parent's love was so chaotic, and it just wasn't consistent. So the fearful avoidant, lastly here, works hard often but gets breadcrumbs in return. These are the trauma lenses that the fearful avoidant wears. I work hard but I get breadcrumbs in return. They want money but they don't, also on the other hand, because it means they've got to earn it, you know what I mean? And that is like, you've got to work so hard to get it. You've got to work till you drop almost. And there's also the avoidant part here that tends to not want to face the responsibilities of money. rather not pay bills, or rather not sort of have everything in order. It's quite a scary, stressful task for the fearful avoidant. In many ways, the fearful avoidant seems to be subconsciously programmed to reject money, however much they want it. So, is this sort of a curse that we're given? If you do find yourself as any of the latter three, insecurely attached, does this mean that this is your fate, your financial fate? Well, I'm here to tell you, no, it does not. Because at the end of the day, what all therapy is about is helping you to become securely attached within you. And when we start to do this work, you become more and more securely attached within you. And when that happens, your relationship then with money becomes more secure, because you start to value yourself not by what you do, but just for being you. Just for being you. Like that little infant, expecting to receive. And that's the shift that takes place in the work I do with clients, especially in hypnotherapy. It's so powerful, so powerful at creating this safe base in you. So if that's something that appeals to you, or if any of this has spoken to you today, do reach out. You can have a free consultation with me, and we can get you moving financially. Very, very key in my view. Okay, everybody, thank you for listening, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Take care. Bye now.